say that when you arrived as the police officers at the crime scene, the witnesses were already looking at you when you arrived, when the crime scene had already been tampered with. In other words, you came after the tampering.
Lana ke engikufuna nje ukuvezela kona ke ukuthi ke nanjengoba uyasho ke lana ukuthi kwase kufika amaphoyisa amaningi ngangwabona ngaso sonke isikhathi ukuthi la ngalesikhathi nifika umphakathi babenibona futhi ke nifika kamuva sebelungisile ke noma sebetemperile lapha ya kwisini ngokwale line le ya the statement. Okay.
And the police, they closed the gate with the tapes and instructed all the people to go out of the yard and only the family members must remain. You see that?
Lana ke amaphoyisa ase evala ke igate ngawo ama-tape base betshela wonke umuntu ukuthi aphumeke egcekeni kusala bomndeni kuphela.
Do you agree with that?
Uyavumelana nalokho? I hear you.
Yes, do you agree with that? That the crime scene was then cordoned off by those police officers.
Ukuthi kwase kukhodinwa ke i-crime scene.
And other people were asked to move out of the premises and only the family members that were allowed to remain inside.
Nokuthi ke base bekhishwa kabantu kwathi akusala bomndeni kuphela. I agree, but there were no people inside.
There were no people inside. But the gist of my question is that you see that by the time you cordoned off the crime scene, it had already been tampered with.
Kodwa ke engikuveza kuwena ke ukuthi ngalesikhathi ke senivala ke noma senikhodina office leyana ukuthi kwakusekukhona okwenziwe kwisini leyana.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then let's go. Is it correct that you also made the second statement?
Ingabe kuyiqiniso yini ukuthi sikhona nesesibili statement owasenza?
Dated 12 October 2018.
Sange 12 October 2018.
SPA 98. It's an additional statement that you made from the first one that you made immediately after the incident.
Nesesibili lesowasenza.
Do you see that statement?
Yes, one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you look at the last page? Do you confirm that this is your signature?
Page open.
I think under paragraph 17 there, you know it better than me. I know and understand the contents of this statement.
Yes, it is mine.
You see, it's your signature. And the date it was given by you on this particular date.
Wasenza ngale date le bhaliwe la.
Which is the 12th of October 2018. Mr. Mthethwa, speak like a police officer now.
Day 12 is October 2018.
Yeah.
Yes.
You used to taking statements at the church office, ne?
I'm going to try to look at it that in the church office.
Or you don't take them?
No, we charge. I do.
Oh, okay. Then let's go together in this statement. Let's go to paragraph 7, Mr.
7.
Mthethwa. Or Sergeant. You were a constable by then, am I correct?
Wow, what's up? Ngaleso sikhathi leso angithi. Yes.
And then now what is your rank?
Manje. Surgeon.
Oh, okay. So pardon me if I still refer to you as constable.
Yeah, police mangisathi constable.
Sergeant Mthethwa, let's go to paragraph 7, line number 5. I understand, Mr. Mthethwa, that the statement was read back to you and you understood it as a police officer. Am I correct?
Wasifundelwa, uyasizwa ke nanjengephoyisa.
Yebo.
Yes.
And when you signed the statement, you confirmed the correctness and the truthfulness of this statement.
Uma usayinda ke uvumelana ke nokuthi kuyiqiniso ke okubhaliwe kusona. Yes.
Okay. Paragraph 7, line number 5. My lord, maybe can I just read the whole paragraph of paragraph 7?
Yes.
Thank you. Paragraph 7 of your statement, Mr. Mthethwa, it says, we went back to the house and we met a black male in the yard near the gate. We introduced ourselves and informed him that were attending to a shooting incident happened in that house. The man identified himself to us as Themba Khumalo, the uncle to Kelly Khumalo. He informed us that he was requested by his sister Gladness Khumalo to guard the house as they were rushing to the hospital.
Lana ke ifundeka ngalendlela sase sibuyela khona ke endlini sahlangana ke nomuntu wesilisa umuntu omnyama egcekeni eduze kwegate sayichaza kuyena ukuthi siyobani naye ke nokuthi size lapho ke ngokuthi sizwileke noma sithola umbiko ukuthi ke kwaba nokudubula okhona lapho endlini wayichaza ke yena nanjengoThemba Khumalo umalume kaKelly Khumalo wasesazisa noma esitshela ke ukuthi wacelwa udadewabo uGladness Khumalo ukuthi abheke umuzi nanjengoba bona besaphuthuma esibhedlela.
Do you understand that statement?
Uyasizwa le statement?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. In other words, it means Themba Khumalo introduced to yourself as uncle of Kelly Khumalo.
Ukusho ukuthi uma eyichaza yena kuwena washo ukuthi umalume kaKelly Khumalo.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a brother to Miss Gladness Makhumalo. If I say Makhumalo, I'm referring to Gladness.
Nokuthi ke umfowabo kaGladness Khumalo uMakhumalo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yet, as a police officer, you decided to leave the crime scene with a person who was a relative to the suspects.
How did he know that? On the 26th of October.
Can I just rephrase it, madam?
Yes. Nobody knew who were the
Mr.
suspects.
Mthethwa, is it correct that at that time you did not know who the suspect and who was not the suspect?
Ngabe kuyiqiniso yini ukuthi ngaleso sikhathi leso ke ngaleli langa nanile khona lapha naningazi ukuthi ubani abasola obani engasibona abasola?
Yeah.
Yes.
And your duty there was to protect, was to safeguard the crime scene regardless of having any knowledge of a relationship between the people who were inside the house, but to anyone who is accessing the crime scene.
Kodwa ke okwenu lapho kwakuwukuthi nje nigade nokuthi ni safeguard ke umuzi loyana nokuthi lo muntu lowo uhlobeneke noma uumndeni noma akasiwona umndeni ukuthi nje nina nigade nje isini ukuthi ungabi namuntu ongenayo khona lapha yana.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was, sorry, my lord, not that was, that was a duty on you as the police officer to make sure that the crime scene is not accessed
Kwakunina ke
by
maphoyisa.
any other people.
Kwakunina ke maphoyisa ukuthi nenze isiqiniseko sokuthi lapha yana akungeni nje abanye abantu.
Yeah.
Yes.
And including Mr. Themba Khumalo.
Kanye naye uThemba Khumalo loyo.
It was within your powers as the SAPS, after seeing out inside that there are exhibits inside there, to say, give us the house keys, we are now going to take over control of this house as police officers.
Nokuthi ke nithi kuyena ke emuva kokuthi seningenileke endlini nabona ke ukuthi kunani ke ngaphakathi nithi kuyena ke sinikeze ikhiya manje ke sekuzoba yithina ke manje abazolawula ke noma bazocontrola la.
Ungena kwethu endlini nalendoda yaKhumalo umalume. Ayikho into ayisitshela ukuthi kwenzakele something lapha endlini.
When we entered the house together with the Khumalo gentleman, nothing informed us that something had happened in that house.
Yeah, but you had been reported
Kodwa ke nanitsheliwe.
what had happened. And there is a report that you received from the station, Mr. Mthethwa. I don't want us to dwell on that.
Nokuthi
You have
ke-
received the complaint. By the time you left at the station, you knew very well when you entered there. And it was confirmed that there is a shooting incident that has taken place here.
Uma nihamba stage nani utholile umbiko nanazi ukuthi niyapi futhi kwenzakeleni la eniya khona.
Noma ngabe utholile umbiko kodwa nawe kumele mawufika la uyakhona ube nebelief ukuthi vele khona into eyenzakele la if kungekho umuntu okutshenayo ukuthi kwenzakalani.
Also, even if you had received a report, But when you get to that particular scene, you also need to have that belief in the absence of anyone telling you as to what had happened.
Mr. Mthethwa, I put it to you that you were reckless and ignorant in not safeguarding the crime scene after you had received the report that there had been a shooting incident.
Naba reckless-ke ngendlela yokuthi ke ningabheki-ke ninganakekeli noma nivikeleke i-crime scene leyana futhi ukuthi nje anizange ninaba reckless anizange ninake futhi ekuthini nibheke-ke noma ni-safeguard i-scene.
And
that point has been made ad nauseum. We submit that it's a matter that should be left for argument.
Argument, eh?
Witnesses commented on that aspect several times.
But life also doesn't teach us all the answers. There are two policemen that come to investigate a shooting, as you correctly say, at 133, 155, Kukano Street. They find the uncle, let's put it like this, the brother to Mrs. Kumalo,
yes, ma'am.
who is left with the trust that because you are a relative, look after my house.
Yes.
That is the factual situation.
But
Now,
my
wait. I want to tell Mr. Kumalo, "Hey, Puma la penjinweni. Musafuna ukuphenya." Life doesn't work like that. That's why he says he wanted to know what is happening. And Kumalo, being helpful, he says, "You know what? I don't know the real facts. I'm guarding the house for my sister Gladness. They're at hospital. Go and find out from that." I mean, it's reasonable.
My lord, it is reasonable in the eyes of the court, but with me,
No, of human experience.
my lord, of human experience,
Yes.
but with me, my submission, my lord, is that the witness, as the police officers, after entering inside the house and after
And who opens up for them?
and after having received the report from Mr. Temba Kumalo, as the police officers, my lord, they ought to have taken control of the crime scene. As the police officer, they ought to have taken control of the crime scene
And chase away Temba Kumalo.
and instruct Temba Kumalo to wait outside in order to safeguard the tempering of the crime scene.
And at that time, they don't know what has happened in the house.
Now it appears that Temba Kumalo is an uncle to a
Yes.
person who is a suspect in
It's
this
an
matter.
afterthought, you're right. After.
So that's why
Apprising themselves of the situation. Now they know that actually, even Senzo Meiwa is the person who was shot. After.
yes.
But it's okay to foresee the future without having the background knowledge.
But my point, my
Okay,
lord,
fine, you have made your point. I'm
my
just saying.
point is that the police officers, it is their duty to safeguard the crime scene on their arrival at the crime scene.
Yeah, fine.
Yes, that's the point I'm making.
Okay.
And now, do you see that the person who happened to be an uncle of one of the suspects is the one who was left with the house?
How could he have known before then? We only know, when was that docket, the second docket opened, Mr. Mnisi?
In January of 2019.
That's it. It's general knowledge that the second docket is opened in January 2019. After how many years? After the first one? After 5 years. That's the point. So nobody knew that their so-called relatives, the sisters, the brothers, their suspects, nobody knew until 2019 July. That's fact, not speculation.
That's fact, my lord, but my point is, had you done your job properly?
Okay,
Yes, my lord.
okay.
Had you done your job properly as a police officer, do you Mr. Mthethwa, do you know what else, what other instructions were given to Mr. Kumalo, who was given the keys and who was asked to guard the house?
Ngabe uyazini ukuthi yikuphi okunye abakutshelwa noma abaku-instructwa ubaba uKhumalo?
How will the witness know that? Is he expected to speculate? He never testified about it.
If
Yes,
the
Mr. Mshololo.
my lord, if the witness doesn't know, it doesn't. You need to answer, my lord.
Even if it's
If he
hearsay.
doesn't, even if he doesn't have the answer, he must say that I don't have any response.
Mr. Mthethwa, are you able to respond?
Ikupho kunye abakutshela ubaba uKhumalo lo njengoba wayeshiwe nesikhiya ukuthi akabheke umuzi ikupho kunye abakutshela noma amanye ama instructions awanikho.
Angikwazi awani.
I don't know.
You don't know. The second statement that was made by Kukungobeni is statement 1A118. My lord, I will read the whole statement, although I just want to
Which one
refer
is
this
that? The one
witness.
Is that the one of Gugu?
It's Queen Kukungobeni, yes, my lord. It's
The one who was lying on her bed
yes, my
and
lord.
jumped out.
Yes, my lord.
Undaba. And then he goes there and says, I'm going to remove the alcohol so that the police mustn't find it.
Can I just read it, my lord, so that you...
No, but I've heard you read it. That's why I'm quoting it.
Not the
You
one
can,
for
quote,
Sil-
you can quote what you are disputing, or if saying it's unreasonable of him or her.
Okay. So, without reading everything.
Is it not the same statement you read?
No, it's not, my lord. The first one
Or
I
is that
read...
Gugu is the daughter to the lady who was lying on bed at 8 o'clock?
Yes, my lord. The one I read is for Silva Happy Ngubeni.
Yes, yes. that's
I'm
the-
done. I'm done with that.
Yeah, Silva is the mother to Gugu.
Yes. Then now I'm reading for Queen Gugu Ngubeni.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Thank you. Let's start. It's statement 118. Can I start? Okay. My lord, I will start from paragraph 3, also skip the particulars of a witness. On the 26th of October, approximately, after 2000, I was at my parents' residence. The address is given, Mshololo. I was in the outside room in the yard with daughter watching TV. We were watching the 2020 movie. I can't remember the name of the movie. Paragraph 3. You see that one?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to read. Okay. Uchaza lona ke uGugu bekufundwe esika Sylvia kuqala manje ke uGugu lona indodakazi yakhe ke uSylvia nge 26 October 2014 isikhathi kwaku nje emuva ke ko8 ngangisendlini ke yabazali bami chaziwe ke iaddress eMshololo ngapha kwigumbi elingaphandle ke egcekeni kanye nendodakazi sibuke iTV sasibheke imovie ka8 ebusuku angisalikhumbuli igama layo.
I heard a bang outside and I thought it was Nonhlanhla's from outside door hitting on the wall on her shack. She's mentally ill and usually bangs the wall of her shack. Whilst watching TV, I felt slumbering and I decided to go to the house to sleep.
Ngezwa ke umsindo ngacabanga ukuthi uNonhlanhla ke wakumakhelwane noma wase next door oshaya ke obondeni lomphukhu wakhe akaphathekileke kahle engqondweni futhi uvamisile ke ukuthi ashaye ubonda lomphukhu wakhe ngathi ngisabheke iTV ngazizwa ke ukuthi ngiyozela ngase ngithatha isinqumo sokuthi ngiye endlini ngiyolala.
Paragraph 5, before I reached the door of the main house, I heard noise at the street, people shouting, speaking loud. I went to the gate and washed in the street. I saw a small crowd standing at the Khumalo's house and the Ngashe family standing in the yard. I then went to the Khumalo's house. I was carrying my daughter. On arrival in the Khumalo, I found Zandi, Kelly, and 2 other guys putting Senzo into his vehicle.
Ngaphambi kokuthi ngifike ke eminyango wasendlini ngezwa ke umsindo esikadini abantu bememeza ke bekhulumela phezulu ngahamba ke ngaya egatini ngamakhona ke ngabuka estradini ngabona abantu bemi kwaKhumalo futhi ke nabakwaNgqashe bemi nabo ke egcekeni labo ngase ngiyake kwaKhumalo la ngangiphethe indodakazi yami mangifika khona lapho ngathola uZandi uKheli kanye nabalisa ababili befaka uSenzo emotweni yakhe.
Paragraph 7. I heard people saying that Senzo was shot by criminals. Mrs. Julia Masia was also in the yard. She came to me and took my daughter from me. Makumalo came to me and handed to me Tingo, Kelly's daughter, house keys and a cell phone.
Ngase ngizwa ke abantu bethi uSenzo udutshuliwe udutshwa igebengu. uJulia Masia wayesegcekeni naye ke weza kumina ke wasithatha indodakazi yami uMakhumalo weza kumina ke wanginikeza uThingo indodakazi kaKheli ikhiya zasendlini kanye ne-cell phone.
I later realized that the cell phone belongs to Senzo because people were phoning looking for Senzo. I remember Opa Manisa, Orlando Pirates captain, and Mama J, the Pirates fan, sorry my lord, phoned looking for Senzo, and I gave my mom the phone to answer.
Kamuva ke ngase ngithola ke ukuthi kwakuucingo lolo lukaSenzo ngoba ke abantu babefona befuna uSenzo. Ngikhumbula ke uPamanyisa uCaptain wePirates kanye noMama J Mama Joy okumlandeli weOrlando Pirates naye ke efuna uSenzo. Ngase nginikeza uma wami ifoni ukuthi ayiphendule.
Paragraph 9. I don't know when did my mom arrive at the scene. I saw her standing in the yard with Mapiri, in brackets Maggie, Julia next the kitchen door, the wall that separates the wall that separates the Ngasha yard and the Kumalo. The Ngashas were standing in their yard. It was Noma Kaye, and Mr. Ngashe.
Angazi ke ukuthi uma wami wafika nini lapho ngambona ke emi egcekeni kanye noMaphiri uMegi uJulia eduze ke kwestabha sasekitchen eduze kobonda oluhlukanisa kwaNgashe igceke la kaNgashe kanye nelakaKhumalo abakaNgashe babemi egcekeni bona ke kwakunoma ukhaya kanye nobabuNgashe.
Paragraph 11. I went to stand with them carrying Tingo. The door and the burglar door of the kitchen were outside opened. Later I saw Temba and his wife in the yard. While standing there with my mom and others neighbors, my mom suggested that the police must be summoned to the scene.
Ngase ngiyake ngiyoma kanye nabo ke ngiphethe uThingo stapha ke sase kanye nebagla zasekitchen zazivuliweke. Kamuva ke ngase ngibona uThemba Khumalo kanye futhi nenkosikazi wakhe bese egcekeni. Ngathi ngimilo ke lapho kanye noma wami kanye nabanye omakhelwane wabesethi uma wami ke akubizwe amaphoyisa.
Paragraph 12. My mom is happy Ngubane. I heard Mapiri saying no, we must not call the police. Kaya Ngashe then called the police and reported the incident. Mapiri suggested that we go inside the house to check what happened.
Uma wami Happy Ngubeni ngezwa ke uMaphiri ethi cha awangafonelwa amaphoyisa wase ukhaya Ngashe ke ewafonela amaphoyisa wabika ke udaba lolo. uMaphiri wabesethi ke asingene ngaphakathi endlini siyobheka ukuthi kwenzekeni.
Paragraph 13. She walked in front followed by my mom and Julia. I followed from behind and Temba with his wife followed me. I went into the house until the kitchen wall, the fridge. I heard my mother saying, "Where does this water come from?" in the passage. I then looked towards the passage and saw water on the floor.
Wahamba phambili ke elandela uma wami kanye noJulia ngalandela ke ngasemuva noThemba nonkosikazi wakhe ke balandela mina. Ngase ngena ke endlini ngaze ngayofinyelela ke ekitchen eduze kwefridge. Ngezwa uma ebuza ke noma ethi abuyapi lamanzi asepassagini. Ngabheka ke ngasepassagini ngabona ke amanzi phansi.
Paragraph 15. I further heard my mother saying Mapiri Why are you tidying up before the police could arrive at the scene? I didn't see what was she doing or removing. I went outside, and when I was outside, Temba said the house must be locked, everybody must go outside. I then gave him the key, and everybody was outside the house. Temba locked the house.
Ngase ngizwa ke uma wami ethi kuMaphiri kungani uklina ngaphambi kokuthi amaphoyisa afike khona lapho angizange ngiboneke ukuthi yini awayeyenza noma ke eyisusa. Ngase ngiphumela ngaphandle ke ngathi uma ngingaphandle ngezwa uThemba ethi indlu kuzofanele ukuthi ikhiweke wonke umuntu aphumele ngaphandle. Ngase ngimnikeza ke isikhiya wonke umuntu wasephumela ngaphandle ke uThemba wase ekhiya endlini.
When my mother, paragraph 16, my lord, when my mother was asking that why Maphiri was tidying up, she responded that she doesn't want people to see that they were drinking. Later, Nomakaya took Tingo, saying it was cold, and myself and Kaya went to the hospital. And that hospital, I found Zandi and sat with her. Pirates players arrived and wanted to enter into the hospital ward by force. That is when I learned that Senzo had passed on. He went back to the Kumalo. Is it he or we went back to the Kumalo houses and could enter into the yard because however, we could enter in the yard because the police now cut it off.
We could not.
I think it's supposed to be we could not, yes.
We couldn't.
Yes. Can I just read it as that, my lord? Cutting off the house and people were not allowed inside the house.
Nkathi uma wami embuza ke uMaphiri ukuthi kwakungani ke eklina waphendula ke wathi akafuni ukuthi abantu baboneke ukuthi babephuza. Kamuva ke uNomakhaya wasethatha uThingo ethi ke kuyabanda. Mina ke noKhaya sahamba saya esibhedlele ke ngathola uZandi ngaze ngahlala naye ke abadlali bePirates bafika ke futhi befuna ke ungena njengeforce khona ke kwiward leyo. Ila angezwa khona ke ukuthi uSenzo useshiyile noma akasekho emhlabeni. Sabuyela khona ke kwaKhumalo kodwa ke azange sikwazi ke ungena igcekeni ngoba amaphoyisa ayesevalileke endlini futhi nabantu bengavunyelwa ukuthi bangene phakathi.
Paragraph 18, the last paragraph. He stood outside in the street. I later saw Makhumalo and gave her the cell phone. When I went to the hospital, the police didn't yet arrive at the scene. At the hospital, Zandi was with Ntabiseng when I found her.
Sema ngaphandle ke estradini kamuva ke ngabona uMakhumalo ngase ngimnikeza ke ucingo. Uma ngiya esibhedlele amaphoyisa ayengekafiki ke kwindawo yesigameko esibhedlele uZandi wayendawonye noNthabiseng ngathi ngimthola.
The statement was signed by the witness on the 10th of July 2018 at Thokoza.
Lo fakazi ke wasayinda ke le statement nge-10 kaJuly 2018 khona eThokoza.
The paragraph that I wanted to refer you to is paragraph 15 only.
The paragraph 50 kuphela ke ebengifuna ukukhuluma nawe ngaye.
Which says, I further heard my mother saying, Maphiri, why are you tidying up before the police could arrive at the scene?
La ithi khona ke ngase ngizwa ke uma wami embuza noma ethi kuMaphiri kungani uklina ngaphambi kokuthi amaphoyisa afike.
I didn't see what was she doing or removing. I went outside, and when I was outside, Temba said the house must be locked, everybody must go outside.
Angizange ngikuboneke awayekwenza noma awayekususa ngaphumela ngaphandle ngathi uma sengengaphandle ke uThemba wathi kufanele indlu ikhiwe nokuthi wonke umuntu kufanele aphumele ngaphandle ke ngase ngimnikeza ke ikhiya wonke umuntu waphumela ngaphandle uThemba wakhiya endlini.
I've already referred you to the statement of the mother of Queen, but I just want you to see that this is the second person who is confirming that the crime scene was cleaned off before you arrived.
Lokhu ke bese ngikufundile ngaphambili kwistatement esikama wakhe ukuthi nje ngifisa nje ukuthi ngikhombise ukuthi umuntu wesibini ke manje oshoyo ukuthi impela kwacleanwa lapha. Okay.
And also I wanted to show you that the Themba Khumalo, whom you met at the crime scene, was not the first person who had handled the keys for the house before you arrived.
Nokuthi ke uThemba Khumalo enamfica nina laphayana kwangasi umuntu wokuqala ke okwakuyena owaphethe ikhiya ngaphambi kokuthi nifike.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, my lord. I have,
Please, Malota, we just want to point out that in the paragraph that my learned friend has read, this witness is saying, I didn't see what was she doing or removing. So I don't understand my learned friend's contention that this supports what the witness mother is saying when she herself says she didn't see what Mapiri was doing.
Yes. Okay.
my lord, I think I was just putting the emphasis to say there's another person
Okay, fine.
who
All right.
witnessed the crime scene being tampered with.
Okay. Any re-examination?
My lord, before I wrap up with my cross-examination, the witness said he will bring tomorrow the list of the qualifications.
How is it going to help this court?
It is going to assist the defense, my lord,
In what way?
in conducting its case.
In what way?
Yes, checking the experience and the qualifications of the witness, because there are so many things that were not done properly. And then we will understand if he was just a junior constable without any
He
qualifications.
was a junior constable. He said I was a constable, 5 years experience.
Or with some qualifications of which we'll have to see
Okay, fine.
if there is any weight to attach to those qualifications.
Okay. Are you available tomorrow, Mr. Mthethwa?
Yeah, Bongo.
Yes, my lord.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, ma'am.
You must bring that
I'm a course.
resume, curriculum resume.
The courses that we attended.
Yeah.
You're referring to the courses.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the matric as well.
Who's aware of it?
Thank you, my lord.
So we have.
Mr.
Where's
Aloy, any re-examination?
As a court, please, my lord, just two aspects. The first aspect relates to the second statement made by the witness. We just beg leave that the statement be handed up as Exhibit Y. The statement has already been proven, my lord.
Yeah, okay.
This one.
And there was cross-examination by counsel for accused number 4, intimating recent fabrication. And in this regard, paragraph 7 has already been put on record. Can you just put the contents of paragraph 8 on record?
Tuqala ke lokhu ke uparagraph 7 bese kukhulunywa uparagraph 8 manje ungachaza ke ngoparagraph 8 lona.
If you can also assist him just to read the contents of paragraph 8 in the record.
Further indicated that must it be read? Must it be read?
Yeah.
Yes, it's-
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Just read it in the record.
Paragraph 8, he further indicated that he was at the house when the shooting happened. However, he was told that Kelly's boyfriend Senzo Meiwa was shot and was taken to the hospital. We asked him to open the house. Themba unlocked the house and we got into the house to investigate.
Yes. Further on, regarding the blood spots.
Is it 9?
Yes.
In the house, I noticed small drops of blood on the floor in the kitchen and beer cans in the sitting room. When we asked Themba to lock the house and we proceeded. Sorry. In the house, I noticed small drops of blood on the floor in the kitchen and beer cans in the sitting room. We then asked Themba to lock the house and we proceeded to the hospital. At the gate of Buchilong Private Hospital, we met Kelly Kumalo driving a BMW X6.
Yes, that's fine. Can you just clarify the aspects of the blood spots?
Ucela ke uchazelana ke ngoba uyasho ke la ku paragraph 9 ukuthi ke endlini sabona ke ama drops amancane egazi phansi ekitchen kanye namakani.
Where were the blood spots?
Aye kuphi ke lama blood spots?
It's a dining room.
In the dining room.
Thank you. Now, all counsel ask you as to why you didn't secure the scene after your first visit to the house. Firstly, you mentioned that you first wanted to interview the person with knowledge of the incident, as Mr. Temba Kumalo had no such knowledge to verify the incident. Is that correct?
Bonke ke abameli bakubuzile ke ukuthi kwakungani ke ningasecure ke isini leyana wathi ke uma uphendula ke nanifuna qala ukuthi nikhulumisane ke nomuntu owayekwazi lokho kwenzeka nanjengokuthi ke yena ke uThemba Khumalo wayengazi lutho mayelana nokwenzeka.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you also, in cross-examination by accused number 4's counsel, you mentioned that upon arrival at the scene, there was nothing that indicated that something had happened there.
Uma ubuzwa uyena ke ummeli kaMshololo wesine ushilo nokuthi futhi ke nkathi nifika lapha yanokuqala kwakungenalutho eyayinikhombisa ke ukuthi kukhona okwenzeka khona lapho.
Yeah.
Yes.
And lastly, you mentioned that you requested Mr. Temba Kumalo to lock the door,
Okugcina ke uthi
to lock the house.
nase nimcela ke yena uThemba Khumalo ukuthi akhiye endlini.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam. That is all.
Oh, you want to ask something? Yes.
But I don't know, this might be a bit unprocedural. However, I'm going to request the court to grant me indictment.
No, you're granted. This is about justice. I told
As
you.
it please the court.
It's not about taking legal points.
I would have referred to the court to R versus Hepworth. ma'am. Thank you, madam. Mr. Mthethwa, just a very quick one, just one or two aspects. I think there's a statement that has already been proven, a statement that was deposed to on the 12th of October 2018. Yes, your statement that you deposed to on the 12th of November 2018, it's A98.
Okay. Let's see.
Mr. Mthethwa, are you with me? Because I see you playing with your fingers there, and as I'm talking, you don't seem to be around here. Yeah, I'm going to request you to pay a bit of more attention. Do you understand?
Ngizocela ukuthi unake.
Thank you, sir. On paragraph 13, I think it's just a continuation of paragraph 12, but basically I want us to focus on paragraph 13, where it says, we found Temba at the house, and let me give a bit of a background because I don't want to confuse them. Let's start in paragraph 12, where we say, when Constable Mokwili and Ramahala arrived, we left to the scene. At the hospital, I saw Chikotwala standing, folding his hands in the passage. We also met Kelly's mother, who explained to us what happened. She told us that two guys entered the house demanding money and cell phones. The fight ensued, and Senzo was then shot. We then took her and went back to the house to properly process the scene. We found Temba at the house, and he opened the house. She, I can only assume that this is reference to Makumalo, pointed out where they were seated, and we started searching the house. we found a bullet on the sink table. There were fragment bullets on the kitchen floor and the tiles. And the tiles were damaged. The kitchen door has a bullet hole. Do you follow?
uConstable Mukwele noRamohala bafika ke sase sihamba thina ke esibhedlele ngabona uChikotwala emi lapho ke egoqe izandla zakhe epassagini sahlangana futhi ke nomaka Kelly owasichazela ukuthi kwenzakalani wasitshela ke ukuthi kwangena abalisa ababili endlini befuna imali kanye nama cell phones kwaseqala ke kwasekuliwa ke usenzo wadubuleka sase simthatha ke sibuyela khona ke endlini ukuyoprocessa kahle ke iscene sathola uThemba endlini wasivulela ke indlu wasekhomba ke ngicabanga ukuthi ukhuluma ngomakhumalo ukuthi babehlezi kuphi nendawo nokuthi sase siqala ukuthi siseshe endlini sathola ke inhlamvu kwi sink no yebo ku sink la kwakukhona ke no damagekile ke noma ama fragments ebullet ke ayese kitchen phansi nokuthi othayela futhi babonakalisiwe noma babonakele isicabha sase kitchen naso ke sasinembobo yenhlamvu.
Do you understand?
Uyakuzwa lokho? Yes.
Did I get you well in your evidence in chief? When you said that the bullet or the spent bullet, there was a definition of what is it actually, was actually found on the floor, on the kitchen floor.
Ingabe ngikuzwe kahle yini kubufakazi bakho khona be lokuchaza ngenhlamvu ke uma buchaza le ndawo ezahlukene ke izinhlamvu ukuthi lokho nakuthola nakuthola phansi. Yebo. Yes.
You actually said we also saw a projectile on the floor. There was a head, and there were also crutches. That's all these items were just near to each other.
Kwakune projectile yayiphansi kwakunesigqoko kukhona futhi necrutch ukuthi konke lokho kwatholakala phansi futhi kungekho kude kunye kokunye.
Yebo.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, in this statement, you are saying, when you returned from the hospital, you went in there and conducted a thorough search, not so?
Manje ke kule statement lesi uthi uma senibuya ke esibhedlele nangena endlini nayo sesha kahle.
Subsequent, or whilst you were searching, you then found a bullet that was on a sink table.
Nasethi uma nisesha kanjalo ke nase nithola lenhlamvu ke eyayi ku zinc.
Further on, there were fragment bullets which were on the kitchen floor and the tiles were damaged.
Futhi ke nama fragment ama bullet ayephansi ke nokuthi othayela nabo ke babonakalisiwe noma babonakele.
Now the question is, what happened to that bullet that was on the sink table?
Umbuzo manje ke ulona ukuthi le nhlamvu ke eyathola lapha na kuya sink ke kwenzekani ngayo.
Ngiyacabanga ukuthi la ngiyabona nala icrash khona kwangesiyi bullet ngoba ngangishilo eqaleni ukuthi kwakuyi lokho kuphambili kwenhlamvu kwakungekho kuyisink kwakuseduze kwesink la khona icrashes nalezi zinto ezinye isink le ephezulu kwayo kwakuphansi kuyifloor next to the sink.
Yeah, I wasn't referring to a bullet because, as you can see, that it's scratched out. It's what I referred to earlier on. That the projectile. It is what I was talking about, and it was not on the sink table. It's the sink, but it was down on the floor.
Mr. Mthethwa, this is your additional statement. You know, sometimes when you give additional statements, it's a clarification, or you tend to give more on what you would have said in the first statement. Not so. Statement was taken.
Statement sakho sakamuva lesi. Ngokunjalo ke uma wenza statement ke ukuthi ubusowusenzile ngaphambili unikeza lokho noma usho lokho ongakushongo kulesi obusenzile ekuqaleni.
Not so.
Akukho kanjalo.
kukanjalo.
It is so.
And you have told this court that the statement was made, you read it, you signed it as an indication of the fact that you were happy with the contents thereof. Not so.
Nokuthi ke futhi ke wasenza istatement lesi wasifunda wasizwa wasizwisisa futhi wabe usuyasayinda ke ngokwenza kanjalo ke ukuvuma ke ukuthi lokho okulana ke kuyilona iqiniso.
Yebo.
Yes.
What appears to be the problem? Because the witness says he scratched out cartridge, correcting it to read.
Yes, my lord.
Bullet.
Let me quickly go to the explanation that he's trying to give.
No, let's first start with, do you admit that he says he scratched out?
Cartridge, yes, my lord.
Yeah, so that you can't read that into the statement.
Yes.
Fine, okay.
Yes, my lord. Yes.
Now he's explaining
Now
what he
you
meant
ask- yes.
by a bullet. Is that
Yes.
what you are explaining, sir?
Uchaza ke ukuthi usho ukuthini mawukhuluma ngenhlamvu. Yilokho
The one you
kuchaza.
say it was on the sink and what happened to it?
No, I think the court is trying to say to the witness that he's not giving this explanation in relation to a cartridge, but in relation to a bullet. I don't have a problem with that. Yes. Now, my question is, in relation to what you have scratched here, apparently you wrote initially that it was a bullet, it was a cartridge. And then when you were reading the statement, just to find out if the information that is contained in this statement is correct, you went on to scratch that word cartridge and you wrote the word bullet on it, and then you initialed on the sides, not so?
Lana angithi kwabhala cartridge wasuyabona ke umfundi ukuthi cha ungasiyona ku cartridge wabhala ubullet wase uya initial ke lapha yana ke eceleni.
Not so?
Ngiyayibona into esididayo lo sink table.
I see what it is that is confusing us. It is the sink table.
No, I'm not confused. I'm not confused.
I'll be allowed to explain a lot.
La kubhala ukuthi on the sink table mina ngithi lali phansi eduze ko sink.
Where it is written sink table, I am saying it was on the floor next to the sink.
Exactly. That is my point. That is exactly my point. You had earlier on told this court that you know English, but because this is court, you would prefer that what is contained in the statement that was supposed to be read to you should be rather interpreted. But the gist of what you're saying is you don't have a problem with English, not so?
Ushilo ke nangaphambili ke ukuthi awunankinga nje ngesingisi ukuthi nje kusenkantolo ke lana ukuthi lokho okubhaliwe lana ufuna nje ukuthi ukuhunyishelwe. Kodwa isingisi akusuka ukuthi unenkinga naso.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. And as a further addition to that, on the very same sentence, you did effect some corrections on an information that was not properly elicited from you. You scratched out that word cartridge, you inserted bullet because you realized that that cartridge was a wrong word in that sentence, not so? And I don't want to argue with you.
Uma ubona ke emuva kokuthi sekubhaliwe ke lokho ukuthi kubhalwe ucartridge ke lana ubese umcisha ke ucartridge wafaka ke ubullet.
Yes, lo wayithatha statement kimi uyena wacisha.
Yes, the person who took the statement from me is the one who scratched.
As a confirmation of that, you also initialed that the word that was not supposed to be there should be scratched out and inserted the right word, which was bullet, not so?
Ukukonfirma ke lokho wase uya initial ke nawe lapha yana.
Uyazi la mangikhumbula kahle sasiphikisana ngayo singakalitholi leli igama le bullet project time. Cabanga ukuthi silithole nje sesazi ukuthi kuyini lokho okuphambili. So sasiphikisana ngakho lokho ngeke sithi cartridge ngoba icartridge lingemuva. So kwazi kwathiwa ngcono sithi bullet ngoba vele kuyi bullet phambili even noma sekulimele.
What was happening here is that the two of us were having an argument about this word,
Yes.
because and then we were saying that it can't be the cartridge And then, because at the time we were not even aware as to what it is that is being referred to as the bullet projectile. And then we then said bullet, because even if it is damaged, it is still referred to as a bullet.
Thank you. That's not my concern. My concern
What's
is
your concern, Mr. Minister?
you are saying that there's an item that was found on the sink table.
No, but he's conceded that he's made a mistake. He meant to say it was next, on the floor, next to the sink. Is that what we're not saying, sir?
Akusikona okusho ukuthi kwakuphansi kodwa eduze kosink.
Yes, ngizama ukusho lokho ukuthi not kwisink phansi eduze
Yes.
kwasink.
How can you
I'm
spend
trying to say
the
that,
whole
that
day
it's not on the sink, but it
repeating
was
this
on the
thing?
floor, next to the sink.
In the very same sentence, you are saying there were items that were found on the floor. Now you're specifically mentioning those items that were found on the floor. Is that not so?
Uma seyiqhubeka ke le sentence lena ke kuyachaza ke lapho ukhona okunye kwatholakala phansi ke phansi kuyona le sentence lena.
Is that not so?
Akukho kanjalo.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
And you specifically mentioning that this bullet was found on a sink table, but other items were found on the floor. And this is not a repetition. This comes from you. Not so?
Lana uthi le bullet lena yatholakala ku sink table. Into le ephuma kuwena kusuku ukuthi ngiyakuphinda phinda.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm putting it to you, Mr. Mthethwa, that you have not been honest with this court in your evidence in chief. There are items which were found, there are exhibits which were found at the scene which were not disclosed. This is one of them. The bullet that was found on the sink.
Ngithi kuwena ke awukhuluma iqiniso ke kwenkantolo ukuthi khona ke kwatholakala okungazange kushiwo ke.
Yeah, no.
I don't know if that submission is correct. The witnesses explain what he meant. Now counsel is putting his own interpretation. We submit.
Yeah, and the law is very clear, Mr. Mnisi. A witness must be accorded an opportunity to explain a contradiction. I can quote you the cases. State versus Malafaladiso, 2013. State versus Govenda. State versus Singh.
State versus Brainers and
Yes.
Yes, I know all those cases.
So you've
Yes.
got to, this witness says, I made a mistake. I wanted to say the bullet was on the floor next to the sink. And now we're arguing about that. He says he's made a mistake.
Unfortunately, my daughter, the mistake that a court wants to say that it is.
No, it's not the court saying that.
Yes.
No, I don't give evidence.
Yes.
He is saying that. I made a mistake. Sir, Mr. Mthethwa, are you not saying you made a mistake by saying the bullet was on the sink?
Asikuthi uthi wenze iphutha uma uthi inhlamvu lena yayi ku sink table. That's correct, my lord.
Yes. You intended to say it was lying on the floor next to the sink. Is that your evidence? sir?
Wena ubufakazi bakho uthi wawuthi wena ke yayileli phansi eduze ko sink.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, may I listen to the evidence? Okay. Are you through, sir?
Wanted to put to him, my lord, that there is nothing wrong
Yeah,
when I
fine.
put my vision to him.
Yeah, fine, no problem.
Yes. I want to repeat that there are some exhibits that were found on the scene. In fact, this exhibit that's in dispute now, that is patently indicated in your statement, that exhibit has not been disclosed to the investigating officers of this case.
Kunalokho kwatholakala lapha abangazange ke batshelwe ngako abaphenyi noma basethi beqala ke lena ke enye yazo le.
Thank you, my lord.
Thank you. Yeah, you want to ask?
No, my lord.
You're coughing.
I nearly hit my finger, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Ngumana?
My lord, I just have one question on the statement.
Yes?
Yes, I'll take on where my colleague ended, paragraph 14.
Right.
But before I go to that paragraph, Sergeant, Is it correct that you told this court that on your first visit, there was a head that was on the floor? That is after Kumalo had opened the door for you.
Angithi ukushilo lokho ukuthi nkathi niya lapha yana kokuqala ke kunalesi sigqoko enasithola phansi.
Yeah.
Yes.
The very same head was there on your second visit from the hospital.
Leso sigqoko leso sasikhona ke lapho uma nibuyela lapha.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to take you to paragraph 14 of the statement that was introduced by the State Council. It reads as follows. I'm just going to start with the background because there's a background to the question that I want to ask from you. It says the following. Captain Zwane from the detective service also arrived and we pointed to him the scene and exhibits. Okay. Later on, the crime scene technician, Constable Musia, arrived and processed the scene. Kelly's mother showed me a head with multiple colors and distinctive were black and white. It was on the floor near the kitchen door. I didn't see it when we came in for the first time and when we came from the hospital, close quotation.
Lana ke uCaptain Zwane kwase uCaptain Zwane obuya kuma detective service wase efika ke sase simtshengisa ke iscene kanye futhi nama exhibit. Kamuva ke kwase kufika ke i-technician yescene uConstable Musia wase processa ke iscene umaka Kelly wase ngikhombisa ke isigqoko esinemibala ke futhi ke eyayigqamileke kwakuwumnyama kanye nomhlophe sasiphansi ke eduze kwesitapha sasekitchen angizange ngisibone inkathi sifika lapha yana okokuqala nangenkathi sibuya esibhedlela.
Are you following, Sergeant?
Uyalandela yini?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you able to provide an answer?
Unganikeza ngempendulo?
I thought you were listening.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ulalela.
Ngilale.
Yes, I am.
Okay, I've just told you the background of my question. You said that the first time when you arrived there was a head. On the second visit there was a head, but that is contrary to the contents of that paragraph.
Uthe ngaphambi uma nifika oqala lapha yana kwakunesigqoko nangenkathi nibuya futhi esibhedlela kwakunesigqoko kodwa ke lana uthi ke angizange ngisibone inkathi sifika lapha yana kokuqala nangenkathi esibuya ngayo esibhedlela. Manje ukuthi ke lokhu kuyaphikisana nalokho okushilo la enkantolo.
Ukufika kwethu kokuqala noma sasibona isigqoko kodwa sasingekho ukuthi senzani siyini la.
When we arrived for the first time, we saw the head, but we couldn't say as to what the head was doing there or why was the head there. We couldn't tell that.
Sesibuya okwesibili wathi mayengena umama uLoma Khumalo wasithatha isigqoko wathi nasi isigqoko besithwele oyedwa labantu abangenile. Sase ngiyamcela ukuthi sibuyisele la besikhona wasibuyisela ke phansi.
And then when we came back now for the coming from hospital, Makhumalo then pick up the head and said that here's the head that was worn by one of the people that entered. I then requested her to put it back where it was.
But that is not what the last lines of that paragraph says. It says, when you came in there for the first time and on the second occasion, the head was not there, but I hear you saying that when you went in for the first time, there was a head there.
Kodwa ke ayisibona lokho kushoyo ayisibona okubhaliwe lana ke kusho ukuthi ke lesi sigqoko lesi ke awuzange usibone kodwa ke wena uthi uma ningena sasikhona isigqoko lapho kodwa asibona okubhaliwe la.
Hayi kunjengoba ngisho.
It is as I'm putting it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, my lord. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Yeah, and we must all remember as lawyers that when a statement is made by a deponent, it is not made under cross-examination. And that's the law.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Mthethwa, me, I've got a different proposition. You say when you arrived with Mthethwa at the scene, right? You were on the street and there was a lady who gave you some information. Am I quoting you correctly?
Ngizwe kahle yini uthi inkathi nifika lapha kokuqala namathebuli kunalo mama ke lapha owayeninikeza ke ama directions.
Yebo.
Yes.
Can you describe the physical attributes of the lady? Was it tall, short, what?
Uma ungamchaza ke ngomzimba ke lo mama lona kwakuwumama omude omfushane.
Ngoba ngasamkhumbuli kahle kodwa wayengekho mude kakhulu wayekahle nje.
Although I can't remember properly, she wasn't that tall, my lord. She was just okay.
What was she wearing? Can you remember?
Usakhumbula ukuthi wayegqokeni? No.
Okay, fine. Where was she standing? On the street
Ngaba wayemi
or on the
estradini
pavement?
noma ku pavement?
Wayemi ngapha kuyi-pavement leya kwaKhumalo.
On the pavement in the Khumalo household, my lord.
And she is the one who approached you and spoke to you. You didn't go to her.
Ingabe uyena waza kunina wakhuluma nani akusinina enaya kuyena?
Sathi nje masiqala sibhrika sivula ifastela ngoba sasimbona enza kanje emisa i-van.
Just as we stopped, opened the window, my lord, because she was waving, stopping the van.
Then wavele wathi babaleke bashona ngapha. Savele nathi sagijima sarawunda sathi sabuya.
And then she pointed that they ran towards this direction, and we turned around, my lord, and we just rounded and came